Shalom. Good morning. Leviticus Chapter 15. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, When any man has a discharge from his flesh, his discharge is unclean. And this is his uncleanness in regard to his discharge, whether his flesh runs with his discharge, or his flesh is stopped up by his discharge. It is his uncleanness. Any bed becomes unclean on which he who has the discharge lies, and any object on which he sits becomes unclean. And anyone who touches his bed has to wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. And he who sits on any object on which he who has the discharge sat has to wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. And he who touches the flesh of him who has the discharge has to wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and shall be unclean until evening. And when he who has the discharge spits on him who is clean, then he shall wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. Any saddle on which he who has the discharge rides becomes unclean, and whoever touches any of that which was under him is unclean until evening. And he who is carrying them up has to wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. And anyone whom he who has the discharge touches without rinsing his hands in water shall wash his garments and bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. And the earthen vessel which he who has the discharge touches has to be broken, and every wooden vessel has to be rinsed in water. And when he who has the discharge is cleansed of his discharge, then he shall count for himself 7 days for his cleansing, and shall wash his garments, and shall bathe his flesh in running water, and be clean. And on the 8th day he takes for himself 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, and shall come before Yahweh to the door of the tent of appointment, and shall give them to the priest. And the priest shall prepare them, the one as a sin offering, and the other as an ascending offering. And the priest shall make atonement for him before Yahweh because of his discharge. And when a man has an emission of semen, then he shall wash all his flesh in water, and be unclean until evening. And any garment and any leather on which there is semen shall also be washed with water, and be unclean until evening. And when a woman lies with a man, and there is an emission of semen, they both shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. And when a woman has a discharge, and the discharge from her flesh is blood, she has to be in her separation for 7 days, and whoever touches her is unclean until evening. And whatever she lies on during her separation is unclean, and whatever she sits on is unclean. And anyone who touches her bed has to wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. And whoever touches any object that she sat on has to wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. And if it is on the bed, or any object on which she sits, when he touches it, he is unclean until evening. And if a man lies with her at all, and her monthly flow is on him, he shall be unclean 7 days. And any bed he lies on is unclean. And when a woman has discharge of blood for many days, other than at the time of her monthly separation, or when she discharges beyond her usual time of monthly separation, all the days of her unclean discharge shall be as the days of her monthly separation. She is unclean. Any bed on which she lies, all the days of her discharge, is to her as the bed of her monthly separation. Whatever she sits on is unclean, as the uncleanness of her monthly separation. And anyone who touches them is unclean, and shall wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. But if she is cleansed of her discharge, then she shall count for herself 7 days, and after that she is clean. And on the 8th day she takes for herself 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, and shall bring them to the priest. to the door of the tent of appointment, and the priest shall prepare the one as a sin offering, and the other as an ascending offering. And the priest shall make atonement for her before Yahweh for the discharge of her uncleanness. Thus you shall separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, lest they die in their uncleanness when they defile my dwelling place, which is in their midst. This is the Torah for one who has discharged, and for him who emits semen, and is unclean thereby, and for her who is sick in her monthly separation, and for one who has a discharge, either man or woman, and for him who lies with an unclean woman. Chapter 16. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe after the death of the two sons of Aaron, as they drew near before Yahweh and died. And Yahweh said to Moshe, Speak to Aaron, your brother, not to come in at all at times of the set-apart place inside the veil, before the lid of atonement, which is on the ark, lest he die, because I appear in the cloud above the lid of atonement. With this, Aaron should come into the set-apart place with the blood of a young bull as a sin offering, and of a ram as an ascending offering. He should put on the set-apart linen, long shirt, and linen trousers on his flesh, and gird himself with the linen girdle, and be dressed with the linen turban. They are set-apart garments, and he shall bathe his body in water, and shall put them on. And from the congregation of the children of Israel, he takes 2 male goats as a sin offering, and 1 ram as an ascending offering. And Aaron shall bring the bull as a sin offering, which is for himself, and make atonement for himself and for his house. And he shall take 2 goats, and let them stand before Yahweh at the door of the tent of appointment. And Aaron shall cast lots for the 2 goats, 1 lot for Yahweh, another lot for Azazel. And Aaron shall bring the goat on which the lot for Yahweh fell, and shall prepare it as a sin offering. But the goat on which the lot for Azazel fell is caused to stand alive before Yahweh, to make atonement upon it, and send it into the wilderness to Azazel. And Aaron shall bring the bull of the sin offering, which is for himself, and make atonement for himself and for his house, and shall slay the bull as a sin offering, which is for himself. And shall take a fire holder filled with burning coals of fire from the slaughter place before Yahweh, with his hands filled with sweet incense, beaten fine, and shall bring it inside the veil. And he shall put the incense on the fire before Yahweh, and the cloud of incense shall cover the lid of atonement, which is on the witness, lest he die. And he shall take some of the blood of the bull, and sprinkle it with his finger on the lid of atonement on the east side. Also in front of the lid of atonement, he sprinkles some of the blood with his finger 7 times. And he shall slay the goat of the sin offering, which is for the people, and shall bring its blood inside the veil, and shall do with that blood as he did with the blood of the bull, and sprinkle it on the lid of atonement, and in front of the lid of atonement. And he shall make atonement for the set-apart place, because of the uncleanness of the children of Israel, and because of their transgressions and all their sins. And so he does for the tent of appointment, which is dwelling with them in the midst of their uncleanness. And no man should be in the tent of appointment when he goes in to make atonement in the set-apart place until he comes out. And he shall make atonement for himself and for his household and for all the assembly of Israel. And he shall go out to the slaughter place that is before Yahweh, and make atonement for it. And he shall take some of the blood of the bull and some of the blood of the goat, and put it on the horns of the slaughter place all around. And he shall sprinkle some of the blood on it with his finger 7 times, and cleanse it, and set it apart from the uncleanness of the children of Israel. And when he has finished atoning for the set-apart place and the tent of appointment, Excuse me. And the slaughter place shall bring the live goat. And then Aaron shall lay both his hands on the head of the live goat, and shall confess over it all the crookedness of the children of Israel, and all their transgressions, and all their sins, and shall put them on the head of the goat, and shall send it away into the wilderness by the hand of a fit man. And the goat shall bear on itself all their crookedness to a land cut off. Thus he shall send the goat away into the wilderness. Aaron shall then come into the tent of appointment, and shall take off the linen garments which he put on when he went into the set apart place, and shall leave them there. And he shall bathe his body in water in the set apart place, and shall put on his garments, and shall come out and prepare his ascending offering and the ascending offering of the people, and make atonement for himself and for the people, and burn the fat of the sin offering on the slaughter place. And he who sent away the goat to Azazel washes his garments, and shall bathe his body in water. And afterward he comes into the camp, and the bull for the sin offering, and the goat for the sin offering, whose blood was brought in to make atonement for the set apart place, is brought outside the camp. And they shall burn their skins, and their flesh, and their dung with fire. And he who burns them washes his garments, and shall bathe his body in water. And afterward he comes into the camp. And this shall be for you a law forever. In the 7th new moon, on the 10th day of the new moon, you afflict your beings, and do not work, the native or the sojourner who sojourns among you. For on that day he makes atonement for you, to cleanse you, to be clean from all your sins before Yahweh. It is a Sabbath of rest for you, and you shall afflict your beings, a law forever. And the priest who is anointed and ordained to serve as a priest in his father's place shall make atonement, and shall put on the linen garments, the set-apart garments. And he shall make atonement for the most set-apart place, and make atonement for the tent of appointment, and for the slaughter place, and make atonement for the priest, and for all the people of the assembly. And this shall be for you a law forever, to make atonement for the children of Israel, for all their sins once a year. And he did as Yahweh commanded Moshe.